Hey everybody, this is my DE10-Lite circuit board. Of course, you guys can see it. Um, for this project, what I made was I made a system that consists of um, two multiplexers, a big switch, and a decoder. So I'm gonna demonstrate what I made, and I'll talk about the rest afterwards. Um, Right now we have all the switches at low, and this one is displaying 0. So I first want to talk about the bits first. There's 2 bits. Um, there's 2 bits for U and there's 2 bits for V. There's 2 groups of inputs that's going to be affecting what's being displayed. So if I put this one on, 1 shows up. If I put this one on, 3 shows up. And if you're a tech kind of person, then you understand what's going on here. But pretty much is just binary numbers that's displaying the decimal numbers as a result. So 2, 3, all of it off, 0. And it goes for the same for the V. But as you can see, it's not being displayed. The reason why is because this is off. When this turns on, these 2 bits are displayed. So when it goes off, this is being displayed. This is U, this is V. So this is being displayed. I'm gonna turn it back on. And now, if I turn this switch on, you'll see that it's not there. The reason why is because there's 1, 2, 3 switches, these switches, that controls which hexadecimal is being displayed, and these 3 switches is also connected to these switches. So I believe, yeah, is 1, 2, and 3 LEDs. So if I put this one on, you'll see that this goes to this 7-segment display because it's 1. If I put 2, you'll see that it moves to 2, and the second LED is displayed. If I put both of them on, 3, you'll see that the third one is displayed, and you'll also see the result over here because of these switches. These switches are connected to those 3 LEDs, so you'll see. If I put 4 on, you'll see the 4th 7-segment display being turned on. If I put 4 and 1 on, which is 5, you'll see that the 5th one is being displayed. Now everything after 5, which is 6 and 7, will also be the last one. So if I put, say, 6 on. Oh wait, something got switched off. Okay, yeah. So if I put 6 on, you'll see that it's still the last. If I put 7 on, 1, 2, 3, 7, you'll see that it still is the last. If I do this, 1, you'll see that 1's being displayed, and we're back to 0. So I'm gonna take it off. You'll see that this switch is on, so V is being displayed, and you'll see that these switches correspond to these LEDs that are above it. So I'm gonna take it off, and we're back to the start. Well, not exactly. Now we're back to the start. And that is my small project. Hey everybody, so I've already demonstrated my project on the DE10-Lite board. For this code, I'm going to start with mid 2. Mid 2 is connected to mid 3 and the decoder. I'm deciding to start with the mid 2 because it was a lab that I did in class and I decided to expand on it. So with that said, mid 2 carries the bits from U and V into the decoder, and within these else if statements it determines which case is executed using those 2 bits. So if the bit says 3, it will go to 3 and this will be executed. These else if statements, you'll see here it says K, is actually determined by this SIPO. This IPO is the SIPO uses 3 switches, which was demonstrated on the board. For the SW628, there will be a value that will be given to the SW628 determined by, depending on which switch that you turn on, and it says what value is the Q going to be, and this Q is outputted to, it goes to the decoder, and the decoder uses that variable to say which else if statement should be executed. With that said, we're going to go to the overall system. The overall system ties each behavioral model together with these wires. And now we're going to be moving on to the logic diagram, the pin planner, and the simulation. Okay, we're here at the logic diagram. I'm going to expand each of these behavioral models so you can see what's inside of each. This is mid 2. This is SIPO. This is mid 3. And this is the decoder. I'm going to put everything back to the way it was, and then we can start talking about it. This is what I have. As always, I'm going to start with the mid 2. The mid 2 has a selector, and the selector determines which of these inputs is going to be outputted through this port. And LEDR has 4 spaces, 4 LEDs that is using for VS and US. US is connected to its own 2 LEDs, and so is VS. But depending on which one is on, determines what's going to be displayed through mid 3. And depending on SEL LEDs, or the selector, determines whether or not this entire thing is going to be displayed, or if the LEDs from the SIPO is going to be displayed. The SIPO also has a 7-bit Q port that's going to be connected to the decoder, and based on it determines which of these hexadecimals will be outputted, will be the output. Like I said with the code, like I said in the code, there was supposed to be a K, the K and the C coming from the LEDR. So the LEDR also determines what's going to be displayed on these hexadecimals. So this determines which of the K determines which of these hexadecimal will be used. The C will be determining what is going to be on these hexadecimals. So moving on, the LED is going to be displaying either the mid-2 LED or SIPO's LED. And that's it. We're going to be moving on to the simulation, and then we're going to be moving on to the pin planner. Now we are at our simulation. For our simulation, you can see that it's really big, so I'm only going to be showing you hex 5, or the 7-segment display number 5. So yeah, I'm only going to be showing you this one, and I'm going to be showing you the output for the LEDs. I'm not going to go into details, I'm just going to be general with everything because there's a lot of data to explain and show you. If I had to go through all of these, it would take a really long video, so I'm going to jump right in. As you can see, there's these 2 bits for U and these 2 bits for V. There's also these switches. So these selectors are going to be determining what's going to happen with the 7-segment display, and is also going to be determining what is going to be displayed on the LEDs for the LEDs. These 2 LEDs at the bottom is going to be corresponding to these 2 selectors, and that's what we have for our simulation. Jumping right in, we're going to be talking about this in general, not in details, like I always say. This is our 7-segment display for the initial. This is our first 7-segment display, our second, like this, our third, fourth, and fifth. With that said, we're going to be moving on to the inputs and outputs, meaning our LEDs and switches. So these 3 are our switches. These 2 are our LEDs for these 2 selectors. Select LEDs and SS. These 4 are our inputs. These are also switches, and these 4 is also going to be displayed on the output of the output LEDs. You can see here outputs. Also, depending on this select LED will determine whether if it's going to be displaying the SW628S or the VS or US. Okay, thank you everybody for watching, and there'll be more coming soon.